The film begins with an artist named Katherine, a renowned musician and songwriter. She had crafted numerous melodies throughout her life, but of late, she was living inconspicuously. We observe her conversing on the phone with an individual. With a menacing tone, she declares, "The melody you seek is perilous. You fail to grasp the truth behind it. It should never be revealed." Overcome by dread, she resolves to destroy the musical notation. She doused it in gasoline and set it alight. Yet mysteriously, the container snapped shut. She noticed two luminous orbs in the shadows approaching her. Shortly, an enigmatic force assails her and hurls her into the blaze. The flames engulf her, and she perishes instantly. A month subsequent to this event, we encounter a young solo mother named Melanie. She, too, is a musician and tunesmith, currently employed as a flutist in a symphony led by conductor Gustafsson. This man is irascible, insisting on perfection from all. He was particularly incensed with Melanie post-performance, as it didn't meet expectations. He cautions her that unless she advances, he will expel her from the ensemble. Melanie faced considerable financial duress. This position meant the world to her. On the orchestra's anniversary, Mr. Gustafsson intended to perform a composition of Katherine's lost masterpiece. Since she had withheld her music and now had passed away, he began seeking alternatives. A man named Franklin, equally adept, and with his composition prepared, was keen to submit his work for consideration. Melanie, a former pupil of Katherine and also a musician and composer, wished to present her own musical creation for review. Mr. Gustafsson was hesitant about Melanie, remarking, "You are still youthful, with time ahead. Your music is pleasant, yet we require something robust, something stirring and forceful, whereas yours is gentle." He was leaning towards selecting Franklin's composition. In this scene, we meet two children, Zoe and Colin. Zoe is Melanie's daughter, and Colin is the son of Nancy, Melanie's friend and fellow artist. The youngsters often played hide and seek at the rear of the auditorium. Zoe's preferred hiding spot was the underground cellar. Colin, however, was always apprehensive of this space, as he feared the dark. Zoe, a young girl with partial hearing loss who relies on hearing aids, dreams of becoming a musician. However, her hearing challenges hinder her practice sessions. The following day, Melanie proposes to Gustafsson, "I might retrieve Katherine's elusive composition. She instructed me in college, and I'm familiar with her script. She crafted this specific tune in 1975, drawing from European traditional melodies. Decades back, she was playing this piece during the Inferno. Post-calamity, Katherine was consumed by remorse, leading her to withdraw from the musical world. Melanie visits Katherine's residence, where her sibling Alice dismisses her. Echoing her earlier words to Gustafsson, Alice insists that Katherine never intended for the piece to be played. Her fear was so profound that she perished attempting to incinerate it. Alice brusquely sends Melanie away, who departs, agitated yet resolute to locate the score at any cost. Concealing her car amid the foliage, Melanie stealthily enters the vacant house. Inside Katherine's abode, she senses an eerie presence. She uncovers the initial segments of the composition and a tape recorder. Listening to the melody, she experiences hallucinations of individuals ablaze and submerged. As she resolves to abscond with the recording and the score, a raven crashes against the pane, hinting at ominous undertones. Melanie sensed an eerie presence while attempting to ignite the engine. In the dead of night, she handed over the score to Gustafsson, who was dismayed to find only 2 segments of the concerto. The crucial final movement was absent. Its absence rendered the performance at the fundraiser unfeasible. Being Katherine's protégé and versed in her compositional style, Melanie volunteered to finalize the piece within a week. Should Gustafsson manage this feat, it would be momentous. The composition's mythical reputation would surely draw crowds. He strikes a bargain with Melanie, complete it promptly, and he will secure her position and showcase her work in the future. Commencing the task, the music unsettles Melanie. She is plagued by visions of a lake, a drowning figure, and a flutist. A peculiar sound sequence at the recording's conclusion captivates her. She seeks assistance from her acquaintance Philip, a music college professor. The piece's divergence from Katherine's usual style also disconcerts Philip. The score bears a Latin inscription, "Bring discord to harmony, bring chaos to the cosmos." Philip, utilizing a harmonograph, elucidates that historically, it was believed that interspersing discordant notes within harmonious music could stir the soul. Certain melodies, when played, might induce trance or hallucinations. Philip dubs it infernal music. Melanie, amused, requests his aid in clarifying the music's final segment. At Zoe's residence, Colin encounters the recorder and is unsettled by the music, experiencing visions, including a lake. During a game of hide and seek, with Colin searching for Zoe, the melody suddenly amplifies and his ball begins to roll away. He enters a trance, confronted by a spectral figure, intensifying his fear of darkness. The tune seems to ensnare him, leading to its frequent repetition. Later, he awakens from a nightmare of a rat invasion, only to appear possessed, suggesting a malevolent force linked to the melody, particularly affecting the vulnerable minds of children. The following day, Nancy is horrified to discover Colin's absence. Melanie offers comfort and contacts the authorities to commence an investigation. She later expresses to Gustafsson her concerns about the music's ominous nature for children. Gustafsson, indifferent to the emotional impact, resolves to perform the piece despite potential fear among children, prioritizing fundraising and financial stability. Franklin, prepared with his own composition, is exasperated by the preference for the incomplete piece. As rehearsals begin, Melanie is plagued by visions of a lakeside manor and a drowning girl, accompanied by a sinister voice, causing her to suffer a nosebleed. The music seems to affect everyone, with Franklin also experiencing a nosebleed. Gustafsson dismisses it as overheating, but Melanie grows anxious. She inquires with Philip about the potential psychological impact of this demonic music, which he dismisses as archaic superstitions. Melanie is startled to find a poster depicting Katherine at Lake Weser in Germany, the same location from her visions, where Katherine had sought inspiration from the folklore of the Pied Piper of Hamelin in 1973. Back at her home, Melanie delves into the renowned tale. In 1284, Hamelin was overrun by rats, causing widespread distress. Desperate, the townsfolk sought a remedy. A vibrant piper appeared, claiming he could resolve the rat dilemma with his magical flute. The mayor promised him 1,000 guilders for his service. The piper's captivating melody led the rats to Weser Lake, where they perished. Yet when payment was due, the mayor backtracked, offering only 50 guilders and accusing the piper of deceit. Infuriated, the piper swore vengeance. On St. John and Paul's Day, as adults worshipped, he returned, his music now luring the children. 130 vanished with him into a cavern, never to be seen again. Some say he led them to Transylvania, a land steeped in mystique, where they began a new life. Another version claims the piper led the children into the Weser River, mirroring the rat's fate. The story's essence, a deal must be honored. Breaking it bears consequences. Pondering the narrative's authenticity, Melanie instructs Zoe to sleep, intending to work through the night on the score. As Zoe listens to the tune, an ethereal hand appears behind her, vanishing when she turns. Melanie, exhausted, falls asleep, only to awaken to a completed score, mysteriously written, which alarms her. She investigates Katherine's final performance, where numerous children perished in a fire. Yet Katherine was spared. The haunting parallels between the legend and their reality unsettle Melanie as she contemplates the eerie connection. In the subsequent scene, Zoe is at her school when her ball inexplicably rolls towards the bus. Following it, she hears a faint melody, her hearing aids removed. She glimpses the piper-like figure outside the bus, playing the tune. Abruptly, the bus windows shatter, leaving her petrified and screaming. She recounts the ordeal to Melanie, mentioning Colin's similar vision of the lake. Later, Melanie encounters a rat in her cupboard that assaults her. Overwhelmed by the entity, she begins to write frantically. Zoe, in an attempt to save her mother, rips the music score, asserting, "This is harming you." This convinces Melanie of the music's malevolent nature, and she vows to halt it at any cost. At the auditorium, Gustafsson discusses with Franklin, who's prepared to conclude the composition if Melanie fails. Nancy appears, seemingly under a spell. Melanie arrives, pleading with Gustafsson to acknowledge the score's dark past. Gustafsson dismisses her concerns as fanciful tales, fixated on the orchestra's future. Franklin offers to complete the piece in his style. Gustafsson agrees, dismissing Melanie from the orchestra. As rehearsal commences, Nancy, entranced, stands atop the auditorium, envisioning her son Colin in a lake, calling out to her. Certainly, the illusion was convincing, leading Nancy to leap from the auditorium's height, resulting in her injury. Melanie's cries for aid went unheard as the orchestra members, entranced, offered no assistance. After ensuring Nancy received medical attention, Melanie sought out Philip, who was also afflicted. The lake haunted his thoughts, and the tune incessantly echoed in his mind. He had deciphered the final part of the score, revealing a sinister voice proclaiming in Latin, "Chaos is my world." This suggested the presence of an otherworldly entity, intent on sowing chaos through its music, with Katherine as its earthly conduit. Zoe, engrossed in her children's book, read of a version where the villagers vanquished the piper, securing the children's safety. Yet the piper's ominous warning lingered. His spirit resided within his music, poised to return if played. At that moment, Zoe heard Colin's voice, and pursuing it, she encountered the spectral piper, who abducted her. Meanwhile, Melanie, back at Katherine's residence, uncovered the concealed final piece of the composition. Alice confronted her, lamenting her sister's lifelong battle with the haunting melody. Katherine had been the barrier between the entity's realm and theirs. Alice warned that the tune was a trap, and its vengeance was inevitable. Melanie, inspired by Alice's words, theorized that reversing the chaos with harmony might defeat the entity. She hurried to Philip, who in desperation had harmed his hearing to escape the melody. Melanie intervened before he could inflict further damage upon himself. At the fundraiser's 50th anniversary, Gus introduces the unique composition with pride. As Franklin initiates the performance, his possession becomes evident. The music ensnares both performers and audience alike. Melanie's attempt to disrupt the event by targeting the lights and sound is futile. The piper emerges from Franklin, causing havoc and opening a portal to his realm on stage. His melody lures the children, and Melanie, pursuing them, manages to awaken Zoe by removing her hearing aid. They attempt to flee, but the piper gives chase. In the cellar, Melanie counters the piper's tune with a harmonious rendition, causing his destruction and releasing the children, including Colin, from his grasp. Months later, Zoe's progress in music class is notable, but her yellow eyes suggest the piper's lingering influence. Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications to catch more videos like this.